Staff Sergeant Robert Bales spent nearly 3.5 years fighting for his country, then threw it all away in an hour. A court will decide whether he is guilty of the murder of 16 Afghan civilians, mostly women and children. History will decide whether the massacre for which he is the lone suspect has undone America's decade-long battle for Afghanistan. Listening to Afghanistan's President Karzai after he met with families of the victims, there was no mistaking this is a watershed moment.
This behavior cannot be tolerated. It's past the time.
Karzai said he wanted all U.S. and NATO troops out of Afghan villages and back on their bases now, a demand which, if met, would surely allow the Taliban to regain lost ground. General John Allen, the commander in Afghanistan, who is back in Washington to testify before Congress, could only hope Karzai doesn't really mean it.
He'd like all U.S. forces out of villages.
It's too early now to predict what that really means. We'll have to have a conversation with him, as we always do.
Karzai has backed off extreme demands in the past, but there has not been a cold-blooded massacre like this before. A senseless act that not only enraged Afghans, but disturbed Americans and seems certain to increase public pressure to be done with this war. Even the commander-in-chief seems fed up.
It's time. It's been a decade, and frankly, now that we've gotten bin Laden, now that we've weakened al-Qaeda, we're in a stronger position to transition than we would have been 2 or 3 years ago.
General Allen is expected to testify this week that he has not yet completed plans for meeting the current withdrawal schedule of reducing U.S. forces to 68,000 by next September, and has made no plans for additional, much less speedier withdrawals after that. Another battle over Afghan strategy is shaping up, pitting the president's military advisors, who already think the withdrawal is too fast, against his political advisors, who can't get out fast enough. Hanging over it all will be the case of Robert Bales, by all indications, a good soldier gone bad. Bales had been drinking that night with 2 other soldiers, but his actions seem methodical and deliberate. Before he set out, he armed himself and put on his night vision goggles. He walked off the base in full view of Afghan guards and hiked a mile to the first village where he killed 11, then back to a second village where he killed 5 more. Returning to the base, he crawled through an orchard as if he were trying to evade detection, but was spotted by a search party. Only then did he surrender, invoking his right to remain silent and demanding a lawyer. It was the alleged act of a lone American soldier, but a vehicle for anyone who wants to put a decade's worth of wars on trial. Bales had already done 3 combat tours in Iraq, and according to his attorney, been injured twice, being treated for mild traumatic brain injury and losing part of his foot. That defense attorney, John Henry Brown, is already suggesting Bales should not have been sent to fight again.
He was told that he was not going to be redeployed, and the family was counting on him not being redeployed. And so he and the family were told that his tours in the Middle East were over, and then literally overnight that changed.
Bales is now being held at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and will receive a full psychiatric evaluation into a private turmoil which has had such public, even historic, consequences.